Check, check. How we all doing today? How we all doing today? Awesome. Looks like the sound is working. We are live. I don't know if you guys can notice, but I did get a new microphone, and I'm liking it a lot. As I've just tested the audio, I think it comes in a little bit clear, dulls out some of the background noise, so hope you guys are enjoying it. Anyways, comment below, how you all doing today? How you feeling about the crypto market? As well as, are there any altcoins or Bitcoin miners that you like? Now, I think this stream, I really want to go over the Fed rate cuts and what that might mean for crypto in the short term, at least the direction I'm leaning. And we'll take a look at other altcoins and see, are there any alts, or which alts might there be some pretty good deals on? So let's get into it. Let's start off with fear and greed, and we'll go over to CNN. I think we were into fear not long ago. Yep. And we've hopped up into neutral. So the markets have been having a little bit of a bounce this week. I think I saw the Mag 7 stocks were doing pretty decently. So that makes sense why CNN would go up. And pie vesting still hanging up in the high greed areas. Now, I've seen before some people, obviously I get why people don't like CNN all the time, but saying comments like, why do you even use CNN fear and greed? Come on, man. And again, we're just comparing things. We want to take a look at all different indicators and just see what the average is. And if there's a difference between CNN fear and greed and pie vesting fear and greed and crypto fear and greed, that's for you to take from it what you will. So I'm not saying you have to completely trust that one narrative. If Fox News had a fear and greed, I would look at that too. So up into greed, and as far as crypto fear and greed, gotta love the advertisements by Temu all the time. What the heck are we looking at? Crypto is still in fear, though. After the price action today, or at least the last 5 days, I think, give or take, crypto has been moving positively. It got down to the lower end of the channel. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about with that if you're not familiar. And it's been moving up to the different daily resistance levels, the 50, the 200, and I think next the 100. So I do foresee crypto getting back up towards the high fear area. As you can see, it's just slowly climbing up there as well. Over the last year, we've talked about this a lot ever since March when we had our mid-cycle top, that fear and greed has been in a downtrend. Now, recently I've been wondering, are we in a possible reversal? Are we starting an uptrend? As you can see, we have higher lows right now, still lower highs, and unless we break above 74, really get back into extreme greed is what it would take, that we are still in this downtrend. So we will see what happens with crypto. And I think post rate cuts, which are coming next week, September 18th, that will tell us a lot. Maybe we're going to have one more big flash sell-off. We will see. I want to go back to this chart or reference it throughout the video, and that's the Bitcoin dominance cycle. So Bitcoin dominance, as it's trending up, not always so great for altcoins. Not that doesn't mean we can't dollar cost average in and look for good deals, but when it goes down, then that's when our alts can do pretty well. All right, we got a couple of comments. Let's see how you guys are doing. Let's get Wolf back to $6. I want some of that money back. Hell yeah, man. You know, Wolf, that is one of the Bitcoin miners. I do, full disclosure, I do have somewhat of a position in, and I have much higher targets than $6, just me personally. Greetings from Germany. Greetings, Gerhard. Gerhard, here in the States, in many of the states that have Bavarian or German heritage, there's Oktoberfest festivals going on, and that's something I'm looking to partake in and enjoy this weekend. So prost to you. I one day want to go to Germany and experience one of their Oktoberfests in Stuttgart or Munich. Looks like a beautiful country. So went to Spain and France not long ago. I definitely want to tour Germany. Hope you're doing well. Let's go over to the altcoin or the alt season market. Take a look at this. And we still have higher lows. So right now, still trending upwards, and I'm waiting. How many of these? Here's a question I have, and this is rhetorical, but let me know what you guys think. How many of these all-season spikes are we going to get? Are we going to get 1, 2, 3 more? Just one? But in 2021, this was our true alt season. There was a second one where some alts that did not fly here did fly later in the year. So what are we going to get this time around? Going to the rainbow chart. Subscribe if you want to watch videos on me talking about dissecting the rainbow chart. We had that double peak in 21, and here was the true alt season. Again, there were some that went up here. I'm going to be sharing with you my plan as far as what I'm looking for, when I'm going to be taking most of my profits, hopefully. That all depends on picking the right altcoins or the right miners, but I'll tell you about what I'll be looking for. So I've been in the crypto space since 2017, 2021, and guys, I know these times suck, so if you're new to crypto, if we are to get another cycle top, it is worth dollar cost averaging and waiting for. Not that anything I say is financial advice, but we are down in this accumulate range, and let's push this out. Well, actually, that's on a good date right there, the 22nd of September. I want you guys to look at that accumulate range. That lower number, 46K, that is right around where the 100-week moving average is for the EMA. So the 100-week moving average is at that 46K mark in the lower end of the accumulate range. And the reason I reference this is, take a look at the past halvings and the corrections Bitcoin has had. Here it went down about 2 bands. Here it got in the upper part of the yellow band. It went down 3 bands. You could say 4. I'm going to exclude the Black Swan COVID event. So it went down 3 bands, and here we got into yellow. So that's, I would say, on average, you take those out, that would put us down again at that 46, 47K mark at the lower end of the accumulate phase. Gerhard, let me know when you come over. Then we can go to Oktoberfest together. Hell yeah, brother. Love to hear it. Man, if I do, I'll shoot out a message and I'll let you know. I have a friend who talked about your guys' spring Oktoberfest. I think it's called like Frühling Fest or something. I apologize. My German absolutely sucks, but I'd love to go to that as well. But yeah, for sure, brother. So let's go over to the Bitcoin power chart. And I did a video earlier today comparing, contrasting the power cycle to the rainbow chart. And one thing I talked about is how I don't think the power cycle shows the diminishing returns as well as the rainbow chart. That, not to say that we can't have higher highs, but as you can see, the last top, it never hit the upper end of this resistance line. So not to say that can't happen again, but Bitcoin hitting somewhere around 400K for the next cycle top, I don't really buy that personally. And if you do, that's fine, but that's not what I'm going to be looking for. One of the things I talked about in that video is, again, this is just a pattern. Pattern's only good for as long as they're good for, but each halving, we have gone up a color zone on the rainbow chart, and at least as far as the last number of tops, you can see it was above max bubble territory, and this 2017 top, it was in that max bubble territory. Now the last 2 tops were in this area, whether at the upper end or lower end. It barely got to the upper end of this area of the orange zone when it made its true top at around 69K. We recently just hit a higher or made a new all-time high in March. And so this time around, I'm looking between these colors, maybe the lower end of the orange, upper end of the light orange. And if we are somewhere around a 4-year cycle, you can see that might put Bitcoin price somewhere between 150 to the low 200K area. That is what I am looking for. And going over to Bitcoin, we have had 5 days up. Now, something I'm just kind of keeping an eye on is, well, a couple things. These resistances, for one, what it does when it gets to those. You can see last time it got rejected off the resistances and then came back up and slowly died down. And this time, what's going to happen at these resistance levels? So you can see I already wicked above the 50-day resistance. The 100-day resistance at about 60.9K would be an area to watch for. Remember what I like to say about trend lines, are only good for as long as they're good for. That one's done. So yeah, what's it going to do? And we've also had 5 green days in a row. Now in the past, we've had 7 green days in a row, 10 green days in a row. Again, this is coming off the lower end. So I know things are getting bullish and you might have FOMO. But again, guys, you can tell that after about a week to 10 days, we do see somewhat of a pullback. Now, what's that going to be? So far, we do have lower highs. And, just for the sake of this, let's draw a trend line and see what happens when Bitcoin gets here. Now, there's some convergence of the 100-day moving average and this trend line. So I'm really going to be curious to see what happens at the 60.9 level. Is it going to get rejected again or shoot above? If it gets rejected again, guys, I am leaning more and more towards the break underneath of this support that Bitcoin has now hit 4 times, and maybe not only getting to the 786 macro fib, but even to this area of price action over here at around 43 to 49K, somewhere in there. Let's zoom out on the weekly. Again, I was talking about this on the rainbow chart. The lower end of that zone we are in is right around 46K. The rainbow chart shows that too, that the lower end of that color band is around 46K. That's the 100-week moving average. I would not be surprised if it gets there. Again, we have rate cuts coming up pretty soon with the Fed. Next week, is it going to be 25 basis points, 50 basis points? That will tell us a lot moving forward. Now, these red circles, these are 30% moves. But after the mid-cycle top in 2019, in this orange vertical line, that's when the Fed first cuts rates. You'd see that after rate cuts, Bitcoin went down for a while. It went down for, let's see here, from June to December, so about 6 months. And yes, we had the COVID crash. Again, I'm kind of removing that black swan event from the possible scenarios that I'm looking for. Again, black swan events can always happen, but I don't want to base my outlook off of something like that happening again. But you can see how it got to the 100-week moving average, and that was some of the best value that Bitcoin had until it went up. Now, there was a lot of sideways action. Good time to dollar cost average in. So you can see here, went to the 50, came up, tested that fib support, and then came back down. So here I was drawing the fib with the bottom in consideration. Now, this time around, because Bitcoin made a new all-time high, you can see it's at much higher fib levels. And, if Bitcoin did get down underneath this 100-week moving average to the lower fib, this is the 618, look at that number there. That is around 38, let's say 39K. And by the time, if this were to happen, the 200-week moving average would probably be up there as well. Now, why is that curious that we have the 618, the lower end of this price action, the 200-week moving average? Why is that curious? Well, the Bitcoin power cycle, you can see, if we just scroll out a little bit, what would that date be around? So that puts us all the way next year in May. Let's zoom in even closer. Let's try to go mid-October. My mouse is so touchy. Mid-October, you can see that lower support band. That's at around 33K. Do I think Bitcoin's going there? No. But I do think, kind of like I was showing you with the fib level, the price action, that's something in the high 30Ks, or that 30K number above. Now, it just showed the lower 30Ks. That would be at the 0.5 fib. But for me personally, this would be worst case scenario right here. I'm leaning this way. Again, I'm sure we're going to see a bounce. We'll see what happens at the trend line, but we'll see what happens here. And speaking of bounces, guys, every time Bitcoin has come down to the lower end of this channel, you can see that the next red candle, we have had a higher low, hit the lower end of the channel, next red candle, higher low, hit the lower end of the channel, got through, had a good bounce off the 50-week moving average and the 786 fib, higher low. Same thing happened again, got down to the 50-week moving average, higher low. So again, I think this trend line is going to be super duper important. As far as Fed rate cuts, because I keep talking about that, I'm going to reference this multiple times, and we're going to talk about this at length next week. But this is on average what happens with two different types of scenarios with Bitcoin, or I'm sorry, with markets in general, the S&P 500. So you can see here that it shows in a typical bullish scenario on average, there's a 10% flash crash before the Fed rate cut. Does that sound familiar? Because we did have that not too long ago. And yes, I'm going to go back to crypto, but this is important to talk about. We had that yen carry trade flash crash. Who knows how much that's done, but that was about 9%. All right. Again, you can see -5, that's about 10% there. So 9% correction. And what do you see here? It kind of rallies up into the rate cuts, which is what is happening in the S&P 500 with the Mag 7 stocks. We've had a little bit of a rally getting close again to the all-time highs. And then there's another little sell-off, but it's a higher low. And in about a month after the rate cut, that's when we really see the divergence of, are we going to have a bearish market or are we going to have a bullish market? Now, this does not show the first rate cut, how big it is, whether it's a 25 basis point rate cut or a 50 basis point rate cut. If it's 50 or more, this is what, in my opinion, we will most likely be looking at. If it's 25, this, in my opinion, is what we're going to be looking at. And the reason why that is, again, things could always be slightly different, but the reason why, you can take a look at this right here, 2019, and by the way, there was a yield curve inversion or uninversion in 2019, and then 1998, only 25 basis points. The market could still run for another year. Now, what happened in between this time? Of course, we know there was the flash crash with the COVID crash, okay? The big V-bottom reversal. So there was a major downturn here. I want to say it was somewhere around 20-30%. Let's go back to that. How big was that downturn in the S&P 500? Yeah, 35%. So there's that 35% correction, but it rebounded so quickly that did not get reflected in here. But again, it can show us at 25 basis points, still bullish after 2019. 1998, to me, that's what's most similar to this cycle. .com bubble, AI bubble, I feel like there's a lot of similarities. I don't foresee the bubble going anywhere near as nuclear as 1998, 99 did, but I do see a lot of similarities. The big difference this time around is inflation and how sticky it is. And obviously coming out of the pandemic with all the money printing, all the excess liquidity in the markets that has to be drained out eventually, should or when a recession come next. But 25 basis points, we've bought ourselves some more time, probably a year-ish or so. 50 basis points, you can see that's the tops in the markets and when things start to roll over. So by the way, this red vertical line, that was the rate cut in 2019. You can see that the market still rallied a bit after, but as far as the .com bubble right here and the great financial crisis, you can see that red line, the rate cut line, the bottom of the market was a year and a half, 2 years later, and it fell by a lot. 1998, the rate cut, what does it have on there as a date? I really should mark that. The first rate cut, it shows us September of 1998. So let's mark that out. September of 98. Let's find our vertical line. Let's look for September. I think it was later September. So it's right there. It marked the bottom, really after the rate cut. And guys, does that not kind of go along with what we just looked at in this chart here? How the markets can bottom around the rate cut in a bullish scenario, and again, in a 25 basis point cut scenario. So that might be similar to what we're seeing today. Going over to today, you can see, again, we did have that big 10% correction. We'll see what happens. Right now on the S&P, there is a doji, which means undecided. So again, rate cuts next week. Maybe we'll see a little bit of a dip. Right now it's hanging at the 20-week moving average. But if there is a little bit of a dip, maybe the S&P comes down somewhere around 5,300. Let's get back to crypto. Again, guys, this is just important to know because the way the markets go affects crypto. And if we do have rate cuts, we might also see, again, let's go back here. After rate cuts, we might also see Bitcoin and crypto go down for a little bit, maybe another 3 months or so. I don't know, but just something to keep in mind that this really started rallying after rate cuts were bottomed. And also another chart I want to look at with you guys later is the relationship from gold to Bitcoin. That gold, usually when it's done spiking in its uptrend, when it starts going down, that's when crypto or Bitcoin starts going nuclear. So let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. I talked about this before with this visual right here, that we're waiting for Bitcoin dominance to go down. And you can see right here, there was in late 2017, early 2019, there was about 4 weeks where Bitcoin dominance, it went down from that 60% number to the low 40% number. And in that time, I remember that time, altcoins went parabolic. If you were in the right altcoin, which I was in most of them, there were some I wasn't. Shout out AppCoin for being an absolute piece of garbage. But overall, I did make money. For the right alts, you could make a 10x to a 200x gain. I was in Tron when it was 1/5 of a penny, and so made great gains there. Held on a little too long, but still made great profits. But not all altcoins will do well. So, guys, I know a lot of people like to talk about the white paper and all this promising stuff. I've done this, and I need to find the screenshots I have. I'll show them to you sometime. I was taking a look at the top projects that I researched, and the new ones back here and the new ones here in 2021, 2017. And all but 2 of those altcoins are still around and talked about today. I think Tron and Cardano are the 2 of them. So, we never know. Anyone remember Dragon Chain and some of those other ones? Some of the altcoins, most of them do go away. In every cycle, you want to find out what are the altcoins that have good volatility, which ones have good price action. With the Bitcoin mining stocks, I feel those remind me the most of many of the altcoins back here. And plus, we have a competitive advantage by being able to look at their balance sheet. Again, Bitcoin mining stocks, you can look at their assets and liabilities. You can do way more research. Imagine if we could do that for all altcoins. Any bit of a competitive advantage we can get will only help us out as far as collecting and correlating data. Here in 2021, you can see dominance went down for almost 2 months. So that's kind of my outlook. Maybe Bitcoin dominance this time around will go down. Well, you can take a look at it 2 ways. The average in between 1 to 2 months, so a month and a half, or this went down for a month, this went down for about 2 months. Is Bitcoin dominance going to take 3 months to come down? There's 2 ways to look at it. And this red line for me is the top that I would be expecting at the highest for Bitcoin dominance. Now, I have these 2 converging trend lines, one coming from the 2017, 2021 top right to here, and it bisects this other trend line, which hit the bottom of dominance in that cycle before the 2021 blow off. Now, it's funny how Bitcoin dominance hit those lines right as they converged, and it is showing a little weakness. Now, anytime you take a look at an asset on a chart, it's important to take a look at what moving average it is in love with the most, and Bitcoin dominance loves these 20-week moving averages. I think one's the SMA and the EMA. So even if it comes down, even if alts have a little bit of a rally here in the short term with dominance possibly getting rejected off this line, the overall trend's still up, and until it breaks under that 20, I don't see a reason to be macro bullish yet. Now, this other red line that I have here at around 62%, that hits some of these little spikes and dips that it had back before the 2021 cycle. Now, the reason I drew that red line there is if you take a look at where dominance topped in 21 and before it topped around this area where Bitcoin dominance rallied to and had some price action to and spiked that before. And so again, we have diminished returns, we have a growing amount of altcoins each and every time. And so I kind of compared what would that be this time around? And when Bitcoin dominance was falling, this area right here is where it hit those peaks before. So that's why I think 62%, that's my guess as to what it's going to be. Des82, great info. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the nice comment. Yeah, I'm trying to bring you guys all the information I'm seeing. I'm also trying to be as realistic as I can in my analysis. Too many YouTube channels, too many people on X throw out outrageous predictions. I am not going to do that for you guys. I try to be conservative is how I can be and realistic with my predictions. Now, maybe that makes me a little bit bearish compared to most people, but I still think it makes me more bullish than some people who know nothing about crypto whatsoever. Let's take a look at Tether dominance. By the way, if you don't know what Bitcoin dominance is, again, I'm always trying to help educate people, especially newer people or investors looking to get into crypto, because if you're not in crypto, it's a very strange space. And I know too many friends, coworkers who they've bought the tops in 2021, 2017, and had to wait a while holding bags. It's part of the reason I made this channel. I want it to be educational. So good people like my friends and coworkers who have gotten sucked in at the top, don't make those mistakes again, because I know how hard y'all work for your money, and I want you to be able to look at the charts in ways that can get you more value with your hard-earned money. So I hate seeing people lose money or having to hold on to things selling at a loss. Bitcoin dominance, this means 57.58% of all money that's in crypto is in Bitcoin. Tether dominance, Tether is a stable coin. It always holds a value of 1 or around that. And so if the markets are volatile, people will convert their crypto to Tether to preserve their Satoshi value, because altcoins can go down by 50% when Bitcoin goes down 10%, and they're just trying to retain their overall value of their holdings. Tether dominance, what do we see here? I drew a fib from the height of the low, and right now it's getting stuck at the 382. We'll see what happens, but it is in a bullish trend. It is in an uptrend. Higher highs, higher lows. Right now we do have these lower highs, so we're forming a little wedgie here, and we'll see if it shoots up or down, but that 0.5 target would be something I'm looking for. Now, one reason why Tether dominance is important, let's hide the moving averages for a second, is that this trend line of these higher lows happen around different market peaks. So the 2017 top, 2019 mid-cycle top, the top before the COVID dump, the double top, and the pre-halving peak mid-cycle top that we've had once again. So those tops, I'll show you on this chart. That Tether dominance trend line shows the top here, 2017, the mid-cycle top here, the top before COVID, and the double top right here, as well as the most recent top. Those are the only times that the Tether dominance has hit that trend line. So should we get a macro reversal on the Tether dominance and we see sell signals coming in and it looks like it's going down, Bitcoin dominance going down, you want to keep an eye on things, because that's when stuff's going to get real. Let's take a look at Ethereum. We'll take a look at a few altcoins. Ethereum right now, it says it's at 2,400, which is right here at the 382 macro fib. By the way, how do I draw these fibs? Well, there's two ways to look at it. If the price is between the all-time high and the most prior low, you draw a fib that's just still right here from the high to the low, and make sure it's on the log scale. and you'll see where those different fib lines are. And actually, when we put on log, we shot up a couple fib levels. So I was on a log before, my apologies. Now, you can see Ethereum has loved this trend line. It has not gotten below it really, at least substantially. So we tagged the trend line not too long ago. And before that happened, guys, I talked about how if Ethereum got near that 2,000, the 2,200 level, that was a good deal. Now, is this still a good deal overall? Yeah, I'd say you're getting better value than what it will most likely be at a next cycle top. But you know, where could Ethereum go? I'm going to show you guys how I look for my price targets. Overall, this typically does happen, by the way. So a couple things you want to consider. One, market cap. Yes, market cap's always changing, evolving. But again, market cap slowly evolves. Market cap cannot be whatever magical number you want it to be. I pissed off a lot of people with my XRP video because I said XRP is never going to 10K. I stand by that. 10K XRP would put its market cap at $500 trillion. Any person with a brain knows that's not going to happen because it's 5 times the global GDP. So you want to take a look at, okay, what are the top assets in the world and where is their market cap? And maybe we can make a comparison. So, you know, when we take a look at NVIDIA, just under 3 trillion. Microsoft, these are the top stocks in the world, guys, 3.2 trillion. Apple, where's Apple? Around 3.4 trillion. As you get into Amazon and Google, it's closer to around 2 trillion. Yep, there's Amazon. Here's Google, around 2 trillion. So when I look at crypto, those are the numbers I'm looking for Bitcoin or Ethereum. Now, right now, Ethereum is at around 300 billion, okay? So a 4x would put Ethereum at 1.2 trillion. A 5x around 1.5 trillion, okay? Now, you guys know 4 times, I'm just going to round this up to 25, 4 times 25 is 10K. 10K would be a 4X. Again, 1.2 trillion. A 5X would be 12,500. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick that has helped me take profits at very good areas, and this is looking for fib extensions. So you take your fib off of log scale, and you take a look at these fib extensions, and look at what we have here. The 2618 is right in between that 4 or 5x number. Remember what I said, between 10K and 12,500? That would put us at this 2618. Now we have this 3618. You guys know now, simple math, that would be about a 6x. So again, a lot of people, I have to talk to people who are new to investing about this. All because a crypto or a stock has a higher number does not mean it's worth more. You want to calculate it based off market cap. So all because Ethereum is at 2410 does not make it worth 240 times higher than Chainlink. Okay, market caps would show something different. The way you look at it by market cap is this: if you put in $10,000 into Ethereum today and it did a 6x, you would then have $60,000 if you were to withdraw at the absolute top. Okay, so that's how it works. If you're hoping for a 6x or $15,000 Ethereum, which is a 6x, that means $10,000 today would be $60,000 at the top. Des says if it breaks that line, ETH is in big trouble. Oh, 100%. 100%. And, you know, could it break that trend line? Of course, absolutely. That could happen. And something again to remind you guys of is those trend lines broke the last time. I bet we can look at Ethereum here. Let's take a look at 2019. Okay, there was a trend line here that Ethereum broke. Let's do this right here. There was a trend line here that Ethereum broke under. Okay, now that would suck, yes. However, again, market psychology, we want to look at things in an open mind. A lot of people don't do this. They feel discouraged and they quit paying attention in here. They quit investing in here. These are the best value times to buy, right? So after Ethereum had that mid-cycle top, all this time you would have gotten the best value Ethereum. Ethereum at around $100 to $200. I mean, are you kidding me? As low as $90. $90 Ethereum to today would be amazing. So yes, ETH would be in big trouble. However, when people read this all the time, I find it really discourages people from investing when they actually should be, when they should be getting the deeper value area. So if you've done your research and you like something enough to buy in, let's say over here, then you need to love it enough to buy it at a discount. If you don't like something enough to buy it at a 50, 80, 90% discount, you should have never bought it to begin with. So again, look at what you're putting your hard-earned money into, research it enough to believe in it, and obviously, this isn't withstanding on crazy events like with FTX or BitConnect. When the writing's on the wall, if something's a scam, you want to be able to save what money you have. But if it's a strong asset like Ethereum, strong crypto, then you want to be able to get it at its deep value. Now, there's a few ways I look at deep value. The ways I look at where to get it. One, obviously, trend lines. Trend lines, the easiest thing anyone can do. The Fibonacci retracement, these moving averages. You can see Ethereum got down pretty close to that 200-week moving average. Now, last time in 2019, obviously, it did get underneath that. But again, this was the best value time to get in to Ethereum when it was underneath that 200-week moving average. $200 Ethereum back here would still be as you can see, a 10 or 12x today. So anything at or under the 200-week moving average, great value. You can even go out to the monthly. I know the monthly only goes so far. 200-week around that 50-month moving average. And so, should it get under that 50-month, that fib, then guys, I think that would be great value. I don't know if we're going to get there, but something to consider. Let's go back over to Bitcoin. I wanted to take a look at, that's Bitcoin dominance, my bad. I wanted to take a look at where we got on the monthly moving averages. So you can see 2019 in here, where did it get to? It, during the Black Swan event, got down to the 50-month moving average. Now it stayed at the 20. You can see those red lines there. Sorry, there's a lot going on here. Let's remove this fib. It's just taking up a lot of space. It did get down to the 20-month moving average, and that's what it liked. Where is the 20-month moving? Now, again, we got the SMA and the EMA. That's between 48K and 43K. Again, at that area, that would be similar to what it did back here, post 2019, post mid-cycle top, post rate cuts. We had our mid-cycle top. We're about to have our rate cuts. So should Bitcoin and crypto get to around this area, I think that's a great time to buy. One second, let me hydrate. Hope you all hydrate, drink plenty of water, and stretch as you are looking at crypto. Another thing, guys, the way I look at crypto, I try to not look at the charts every day. I challenge myself on the weekends to, outside of these videos, when I'm just looking at charts for myself, to do it in 10 minutes. I have my handful of stocks and cryptos picked out. I look at it, I have a plan, and then I can go about my day. I can kayak, I can go on a hike. You want to be able to reduce your stress as much as possible. This is, my profession talking right here. So you can see things in a clear way. When you're taking a look at charts for too long, it doesn't help you see things with 20/20 vision as well as you can. So do take the time to take care of yourselves. Don't stare at charts all the time. Be able to have a plan and know when you're going to go get in. I was talking about my plan before, with the fibs, with the moving averages. I'll show you a couple other indicators I look at, but let's take a look at the weekly. And I'll go over Bitcoin mining stocks here shortly, but I'll go over, for example, some altcoins I like. I like Chainlink, okay? A fib, you can set a buy order here at this 236 fib at around $8.70, give or take, somewhere around there. You can take a look at, I have the free version because I do not get paid for any of this. If one day I am making money off YouTube, maybe I'll pay for the version where I can take a look at it a lot more. Obviously, there's the buy-sell signals, but you could take a look at the different RSIs. The RSIs are ones I like. Every time the blue, this is on the weekly, flips above the orange, it tends to be a good time to dollar cost average in. So links at that level, I don't hate that as far as dollar cost averaging. Again, you would be buying some of these dips, but if we are making lower highs, do note you're not always going to get the bottom, and I don't need to get the bottom. I don't need to perfectly time the bottom. I think that's a losing game if you really want to time the bottom perfectly. But if I'm dollar cost averaging in at the dips collectively and these altcoins explode 10x, I don't care. Like if Chainlink, for example, I looked at its fib extensions yesterday. It was somewhere between 180 and 210 in its upper fib extensions. Okay, so if Chainlink were to explode to somewhere around that level and do 20x or somewhere around there to get the $200, I don't care if I'm getting Chainlink at $7, $6, $10, $15. Again, if Chainlink eventually goes to 200, if I'm not saying it will, I don't care as long as I'm dollar cost averaging in at these values. Now, again, I look at buy sell signals, I look at the fibs, the moving averages. I consider a variety of factors that work for me as far as what I get in. So if the price does go lower, I don't care. I actually get more excited because it's more at a discount. And me personally, none of this financial advice for you guys, but I have a budget set where every month I'm just going to throw out a random number. Maybe I have $1,000, okay, to put in where I want in the stocks and cryptos I like. And if any are at good areas to put in, whether a buy signal, a fib, moving average, stock RSI, whatever, then I can pull from that budget. Now, there are going to be some months where the markets are running hot. I don't have to spend that money. I can pool that money to the next month and the month after and put into those assets when it's at deeper value. So I just want to share with you how I kind of approach the markets mentally. We all have different plans, and that's okay. So, if you want to share below, what are some ways that you look at dollar cost averaging? And I'd love to hear some of your guys' strategies as well. The RSI, is this bottoming? Is it reversing trend? If it is, then we would be looking for bullish divergence. You can even take a look at the daily, okay? We have higher lows in the RSI and the price. So things would be flipping bullish probably. Now, again, I'm not as much of a trader as I am a long-term investor with stocks or a trade investor who tries to get near the tops and the bottoms of the cycles in crypto. I tend to sell, much quicker than I do stocks, at least with cryptos. Back to Bitcoin, I saw an indicator that's always worth reminding people about, and that is, we're going to have to hide this one, that is the Pi Cycle Bitcoin high-low. If you guys haven't heard of this, your mind's going to be blown, I tell you that. This does pretty good at telling you where the highs and lows are of Bitcoin. Now, it said the low is back here, and it did go lower. In my opinion, the whole FTX crash, that was a black swan event. So I don't really consider this. I do believe this was going to be the bottom without the whole Sam Bankman-Fried thing and all that. Going back further, 2017, that called the top and the bottom. Okay, 2013, now it had two Pi cycle highs. Let's get rid of this fib here. And then it had the low at the low. So really good indicator to watch for. But something to remember is eventually these cycle highs and lows won't trigger anymore. And the reason why, it goes back to the rainbow chart. We have diminished returns. It's not a bearish statement. It's just we don't have as crazy volatile times as we did before. And eventually those signals will not flash. Now, when you look at when it flashes, it gets above this white moving average, and for a while at least, and then eventually it does trigger that Pi cycle high. So last time Bitcoin hit that white moving average, that was that was the top, the mid-cycle top, and the new all-time high for Bitcoin. What's funny enough about that is in 2019, same thing. It got to that white moving average and then went sideways and down. Now, a stock that has done something similar, again, it doesn't trigger these numbers, but Nvidia. I was able to get in Nvidia late 22, and so something to look at is look at all the times Nvidia hits that moving average. Typically goes sideways or moves up with it and then goes sideways, but it doesn't really stay above it too long. And when it does, eventually it does correct. So, whenever, basically the short of the long is anytime an asset is hitting this moving average or above it, it's overvalued. And it would not be shocking to see a top sometime soon. Now, again, things can run hot for a while, especially in a bubble type market, but that's just something to look out for, okay? Let's remove that because it just makes a lot of things going on. Let's put on our moving averages and our leading indicator, buy sell signal indicator. We have another comment. Chips and salsa. What's up, buddy? How is Doge looking? Thanks for everything. Love the content. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the nice words. Let's take a look at Doge. And if you guys have any requests for certain altcoins, especially ones that are on Coinbase or Robinhood, let me know below. Let's take a look at Doge together. I believe I've charted the tether one. Yep. All right. So what do we got here? I have the macro fib drawn from the prior high. This is when Doge, by the way, when it got to 74 cents, when Elon had the pull that he did before, Doge got somewhere around $100 billion market cap. So again, Doge is at around 10, 11 cents. So it went up about 7x. Let's go to coin market cap. This is just going to be a rough estimate. So it did a 7x from around this market cap. So 7 times 10 billion is 70 billion. Okay, maybe it refreshed. 7 times 5 is around 35. So 70 plus 35, that's around 100. So Doge at its peak was at around 100 billion. Now, this is one way I look at alt price targets in the most bullish scenario. I talked about market cap and how Bitcoin at 150-ish K, that's around 3 trillion market cap. That's where the top stocks in the world are. Around 150K is the fib extension. I want to say the 2618. So that's why I look for 3 trillion market cap for Bitcoin at its peak. Ethereum, maybe it can get to 1 to 1.5 trillion. But as far as the top altcoins are concerned, I think a number would be about a third to a half of Ethereum. If Ethereum's going to be 1 to 1.5 trillion, then I'm looking at the very, very top alts, which in my opinion, outside of Ethereum would be Solana, somewhere around 500 billion max. Okay. So $500 billion is a lot, guys. If Solana were to get there, oh boy, you'd be seeing Solana, man, what would that be? 500 divided by 65, that would be about an 8x. So maybe Solana would be near 1,000 in the most bullish scenario. XRP is XRP dead, diminishing? Last time I've shown this on the fib retracements. XRP only got to the 786 fib last time for its high, so it didn't even make new all-time highs. And so there's a lot of altcoins from 2017 that only got to the 786 fib and did not make new all-time highs. Now Doge, it did make a new all-time high last time. However, I don't see Doge, which is an inflationary crypto, believe it or not. They can just print more of it. 42 cents or 41 cents is that 786 fib. So look this up, guys. I can even show you if you want. But Bitcoin Cash, XRP, only got to the 786 from in their 2021 top from 2017. So the first number in the most bullish scenario to look for is 41 cents. Now, even if you have a ton of money and you're like, you know what, that's a 4x from here. I only want a 4x. Hell, maybe you only want a 2x. Then I think at these levels, it's really not a bad time to buy. A 2x, a 4x is still great. Whether you get it at the 618 or the 786. But past that is what you want to look for. Now, as far as where it's at right now, you can see the sell signal is still playing out. It is not confirmed reversal. Now, it does have this doji, and the first green weekly candle it did for a while. It hit the 236 fib and stayed above it, closing on the weekly candles. And right now it's stuck between the 100 and the 200 weekly. Let's take a look at the daily. Okay, these are important resistance levels for it to get through. The 50-day moving average, you can see providing resistance. Can it close and get above? It can wick above, but we want to see the candle body closing and working above. And past that, you have the 100-day moving average at around 11.5 cents and the 200-day moving average at around 12 cents. Let's zoom out again, and outside of the buy-sell signal, let's take a look at the stock RSI, see if it's getting ready to flip positive on the weekly. Yeah, that just flipped positive. So if you love Doge and you dollar cost averaged in at these levels, I don't hate it. I think it's fine. Now, again, could it make a higher low? Could it make a lower low? Yes, it could. It could get under this trend line, and if so, we have some price action around this 8 to 9 cent level. I think that would be super deep value, maybe even the high 7 cent level. That'd be super deep value. But again, by the time Doge, should we get another cycle top, whether Doge gets to 40 cents or higher, you won't care whether you're getting it at 10 cents or 8 cents. All good areas of dollar cost average in. Stochastic RSI shows it's a good area to dollar cost average in. Let's take a look at the fib extensions. Let's say Doge does make a new all-time high. And I still have some Doge, but 42 cents is where I'll be looking to take some profits. You can see the 1618 is at $1.16, and the 2618 is at $1.85. So again, remember 74 cents at its all-time high here was around 100 billion. If Doge were to double and get to $1.40, that's 200 billion. So right here is $200 billion. Okay, so in the most bullish scenario, I'm looking at that 1618 number as a top for Doge, in my opinion. And I'm curious, chips and salsa, let's see, you say the risk reward on Doge looks pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the safer ones. Again, do be cautious on Doge. All because it did great in 2021 does not mean it has to do great again in 2025 or whenever we get our cycle top. So XRP people, the XRP cult army, brainwashed people, they have not come to terms with that yet, and they are slowly being bled out. Okay, let's go to this chart. I believe this is it. Yep. So you can see XRP, all because it did great in the 2017 cycle. Again, that's 786, Bitcoin Cash, many others did the same thing. It only got up to the 786 as the top. So unless XRP gets above $1.30, durably above it, I'm not just talking wicks and a few candle bodies, but durably above, you can see here just some wicks, does not mean that anything's changed. So do know each cycle there are altcoins, people will be putting a lot of money into them, hoping for way higher price targets. At least get your return on investment. I would say, not financial advice, but if it were me, I would try to get my return on investment and then play with house money, and hopefully it works out for you. So yeah, that's what we got for a link. Let's take a look at a couple other ones. Fetch has AI in the name, so that's just going to do great. There's a funny meme out there. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you've seen Wolf of Wall Street, the line Leonardo DiCaprio is always asking. He says, "Sell me this pen," and at the end of the movie, all these Australian guys can't sell the pen, but the guy in the meme, he says, "This pen is AI powered." I feel like that's Fetch.ai. They slapped AI on the name and everyone loves it. So Fetch, it's at its former all-time high line right here. But if Fetch got down to this 786 fib at around 60 cents, hell, I'd be looking for some fetch. ICP, Internet Computer, man, some of these not looking great. And I don't know about you guys, I have a hard time drawing fibs on these altcoins. By the way, it was never actually at this price, ICP. Like, I know it's an error for some reason, but where do you draw it? Like, when it first comes out? Anyways, so the fib's probably not correct. For all we know, this 236 line is more down here. Let's add on our buy-sell signal indicator. You know, it does have a weekly buy signal. Okay, so if you like ICP, forming higher lows, something to think about. Jasmy hanging out at that 382 fib and those moving averages. Okay, DNT, been a dead project, but still randomly pops off because magic internet money from the black market, you know, some giant, gang that doesn't want to, that wants to be able to move their money, or some third world country, you know, they put their money where no one else does, and then they pull it when retail gets in. This one's going down to the 236 fib. So, you know, those are some cryptos that I look at as well. Going back to Bitcoin, I don't think I talked about this yet in today's video, but you know, one area that I'm looking for that has a lot of convergence, this 1618 fib at around 100K lines up with the double top of 2021. Okay, lines up with this trend line that Bitcoin's been in love with. Again, this is on the log scale. Lines up with this green line, which is the average from new all-time high to the next peak. New all-time high was here, the yellow line. This was the first time we ever had a new all-time high right before the halving. Something like right before, so something to consider. So a lot of convergence right here. Now, if you just take the average from halvings to the ultimate peak, it's around 484 days. That puts us in August, which, you know, July can sometimes be, I think June can oftentimes be a top, and then like typically markets go down July, August, September usually, or at least they have in recent memory. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe we get more of a 4-year cycle around next November or something. I don't know. But for me, this is just a range. But anyways, a lot of convergence here. I'm very curious to see what'll happen at the end of this year. Is Bitcoin going to be up in this 100K area? I mean, wouldn't that be great? You know, who knows? Every cycle is a little bit different. But right now, you know, Bitcoin hanging out at this, that's not the 786 fib because we're off log scale right now. But it has been hanging out lower in the channel and that 50-week moving average. So, you know, again, going back to earlier in the video, I talked about what's it going to do at this trend line that we have to take a look at on the daily. What's it going to do here? We have these lower highs. We have that 100-day moving average. There is key. Is it going to break up, or is it going to get rejected and fall down? For those of you who are in the chat, if you have any requests or certain charts you would like for me to take a look at, let me know. Let's go back to the rainbow chart. Let's look at December. If end of December is at around 100K, that's right in that yellow box again. Okay. Let's say there's a top in March. Maybe we hit 100K, go past the 618, and then Bitcoin tops somewhere, I don't know, alt season goes for 2 to 3 months, and we top by March of next year. Where would 150K be? Guys, look at that. That's at the upper end of the light orange box. You can see right there, 155K, 156K. That's at the upper end of this box by here. Okay? And Bitcoin, I have to take this off log scale again. Bitcoin at the, let's go to the monthly, the weekly. At the 2618 is at 155K. And again, the 155K mark at the 2618, if you calculate the market cap, that is right around 3 trillion. Where is 3 trillion? That's where the top stocks in the world are. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia. So again, market cap's not just some magic number that can be whatever we want. Kathy Wood, all these other suckers or people that try to, get you suckers in, all the sheep, to believe whatever. Bitcoin will go to 500K. John McAfee said that in 2018. If Bitcoin doesn't go to 500K in the next couple of years, I'll bite my own, what off, and rest in peace. But yeah, these people have been making crazy predictions since crypto has become this worldwide phenomenon. So don't fall for that. Try to be somewhat realistic in your outlook. I know that's not exciting. I could make a channel, posting all the hopium, saying all the BS I want. Bitcoin's going to 1 million. But in good conscience, I have a profession that helps people. I don't want to steer people in the wrong direction. I genuinely care about my friends and coworkers, and I hate that they lost money buying the tops back here. I know people have been holding on to their crypto ever since they got in, around the Super Bowl commercial, Rams versus Bengals. Remember they had the Super Bowl crypto commercials? Man, Super Bowl commercials do well at signaling tops. Are we going to get that this next year, 2025, or even early 26? If so, watch out. But yeah, it's tough to see. I had another friend bought the top back here, but he held on and eventually he was happy about it. But he had an average of around 10K Bitcoin. Right now he's feeling pretty good, but just something to keep in mind. So don't see any questions in the chat. Anything else I wanted to take a look at? Let's just take a quick look at the daily, because I know the stock, the fear and greed has been ticking up, and as you can see, there's been a decent rally. But again, we have lower highs, so unless these stocks get above there, and it's funny, they're rallying up to lower high or testing that resistance area right at about when rate cuts are going to be. Rate cuts are going to be on the 18th, so I think stocks are gearing up to see what will happen at that point. And again, I think we're all waiting for 25 basis points, green for a little bit, or 50 basis points, and hide in your bunker for a year. So, which is going to happen? If it's 50 basis points, if we get a hard landing before the next cycle top, guys, do know anything's possible. Who knows what the Fed's going to do? But if they do cut by 50 basis points, we might be seeing a lot of pain sooner than later. Again, though, we can take a look at getting really good value for our money, for our investments, if that were to happen. And you got to be ready for either scenario. Now's the time to make a plan. One of the ways, outside of all the things I showed you guys, in a bear market, again, I don't need to eat 100% of the profit sandwich, but as well as that stock RSI, in a bear market, you can see how few times the buy signals on the weekly show up. And, overall, like if we are in a massive downtrend, if we are breaking underneath the 50-week moving average, you do want to be more cautious because the bottom's usually a bit further underneath. Let's go back to 2019, for example. If you would have bought the weekly buy signals, there were 3 of them, only 3 on Bitcoin. But if you would have bought your altcoins and everything around those times, you would be fine. Now, again, I take a look at profit sandwiches. If this whole thing, bottom to top, is a sandwich, I don't need 100% of it. Okay, if we just measure it out, okay, from these buy signals, let's be a little generous here, to the sell signals, you're still getting, 600%. If you got everything, 1,500%. So again, really hard to time tops and bottoms. We have indicators to look at those. Bitcoin dominance when it takes, pi cycle top, when that flashes, Bitcoin rainbow chart when we're in these orange zones, the fibs. We have a pretty decent area of where those tops might be. But if we get any of these weekly buy signals coming up, that might be a good time to look for it. We've already had one, but now we're at lower value. So, the next weekly buy signal, especially if we get under here, those might be some good areas to look for. So, all right. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you are all doing well. Take some time to get away from looking at charts. Go and enjoy yourselves this weekend. Go on a hike or something, kayak, whatever. I'll be doing a little bit of those things, as well as enjoying an Oktoberfest festival this weekend. So, in my neck of the woods where I live. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day. Take care.